Hello, everybody. We are back with another podcast. Shocking, right?
Sucking grasp.
After 1 week, we come out with a new episode again.
We're
This
back.
time, focused on some Age of Sigmar. Of course.
Age of Sigma.
Yeah, I am
Sigma.
Adam. I am one of the podcast people, as you guys know.
He's Asian. Watch
That's
out.
true. That's true.
So am I.
Jed is also here. We have Donovan. These are the same people. But we have a special guest. Somebody who's a lot more versed in AOS than probably all three of us.
Drum roll,
It's gonna
please.
It's Shane.
Oh my goodness.
Shane,
I
the
love
Age of
you.
Sigmar player.
I bankroll
I also-
GW for Sigmar plastic.
Yeah, that's true. Anyways,
Welcome, Shane.
Adam, you
Nice.
realize you're locking us into a
welcome.
cycle with this, with promising consistency.
That's okay. That's okay. That's part of our charm. Anyway, welcome, Shane.
Oh.
Welcome
Thanks.
to the podcast.
I'm
How
here
you-
to discuss the length of all of the cheesed up boys and
Yeah.
their long little twofers, you know.
You see here, I, as a 40k player and a, let's say, dabbler in the lore, know only of one time where I have descended into Age of Sigmar. And that's when that one Inquisitor guy went to a war portal. And he saw Age of Sigmar land, Warhammer Fantasy, I don't know. Whatever, I don't know what the difference is. As as a spaceman, but not a fantasy man, I have no idea what's going on with these guys. I played Vermintide before, a little bit. I did not listen to the story. I played as a knight and I charged into things. That was great. That was a good time. But these guys have guns and that's cool. And this image is Adam, our lovely editor of images, has made beautiful peaches on rats.
I love rats, but why?
And
don't question it.
yeah, so
Rats with gats.
you forgot a why. Oh, I get. You
no,
know what?
it's
Never
gats,
mind. I
like
see.
gun.
I get it. You still forgot a why though. Come on.
No.
Rats
No,
with
it's
gats.
the gats.
The why was hidden in the secret file that was sent to me.
But they're gats because they got Gatling guns, right? So all I know about Skaven, they're like poisonous, evil, disease-ridden, the rats, megalomaniacal guys who have guns of all things, and like to come up from the ground and eat your shit and steal your stuff. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I know about the Skaven. Oh, and the Lizardmen hate them.
I mean, literally everybody hates them.
Even the Skaven.
Yeah, even the Skaven.
No.
The Seraphon are literally like chaos destroying organic beings formed for the sole purpose of the destruction of chaos. So I guess they hate them more now that the Horned Rat joined the Chaos Pantheon inside of Age of Sigmar.
Oh my.
Let's go. Horned rat, baby. We're the best.
The one
Yeah.
rat.
My education when it
sounds so
comes to
quirky.
Age of Sigmar is rats are funny, and I've looked up like the one Wikipedia page on the Skaven.
The Skaven exists solely to Deus Ex Machina, like whenever they're like, this guy almost took over the world, but then the Skaven fucked it up, and that's pretty much like a solution to a lot of problems when like quote unquote the heroes don't solve a problem. It's like, yeah, the Skaven fucked it up.
Wait,
Yeah,
wait.
but the Skaven.
But I've heard of a story where it's like the opposite, where it's like there was a Skaven that was like making a bunch of plans, but this hero party kept messing with his plans, but without realizing it.
Yeah, you're talking about Thonquil.
Ah.
Yeah, Thonquil is the Skeletor of Skaven.
Oh yeah. I just love the
He-
idea
All
that
right.
they have all the
He's
big
he's the recurring villain from the Gotrek and Felix novels, and he does actually have an Age of Sigmar model. It's actually probably one of the best ones. I like it a lot.
Ooh. We should see it. I'll pull it up at some point. Cool.
Yeah.
Shall we
Okay.
you guys are gonna have to tell me next time
no,
every time.
yeah, I'll let you know. Before we get into anything else, just kind of want to ask Shane, just so we get a little introduction, his experience with Fourth, when he got into AOS, and what armies he owns.
Sure. My experience with 4th edition is I have probably like, man, it's probably between like 10 and 20 games in the edition so far. It's not like a crazy amount. I don't play multiple times a week usually, but I have like a good amount of games under my belt at this point with multiple factions. So I mean, I've been paying attention and listening with 4th edition. I'm not really a tournament player, so I'm not going to tell you about, tournament meta or anything like that, but
I've heard that tournament Sigmar is the Wild West, but with like nukes.
kind of. This edition, current tournament meta of Age of Sigmar is very interesting. I think it's very skewed right now with how the current edition is because we just had it released and we haven't had a single like major FAQ. We had like one small FAQ, so we haven't had any major changes. So right now things are settling and we're figuring out what's busted and what needs to see adjustments.
All right, sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Your second question was how long have I been playing?
Yeah.
So Warhammer Fantasy, I had a fantasy battle entry point when I was probably in 2007, I think.
And
When
I
I
did
picked up
not
some Skaven.
even my child brain would not even be able to perceive at that time.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm 30, so I was in
I
middle
was in
school.
fifth
So I
grade.
wasn't that old. But
I think I was in
the
second grade.
yeah, so I picked up a bunch of Skaven and I really loved them. I thought they were so cool, and even when I was younger, I had an old Warhammer, the World of Warhammer Fantasy book that I would borrow from the library and keep for lengthy
Oh my
periods of
God.
time.
That's
That I just
amazing.
loved looking at all the art and everything. That was back when you had crazy stuff, super crazy weird stuff. Like there was like a yin yang symbol on everyone who was in the Wood Elves, and there was just like a lot of weird designs that were going on at that time. My perception of Dark Elves was that it was a bunch of just like elves in iron bikinis, which isn't even entirely wrong, but it was more singular instead of just witch elves.
cooler
But anyways, I started playing Age of Sigmar probably about 2016 in first edition. The first army I got into was Beastclaw Raiders, back when they were their own army, separate from what's now called Ogre Maw tribes. And I had a Skaven army still from Fantasy Battle, so I just ported it over to Age of Sigmar, and then was kind of sad at how long it took them to make new models for Skaven. Because gosh, there were things in the model range that were older than me for Skaven.
The GW curse.
Yeah, before this update, there was GW pewter models for Skaven that were literally like from the year before I was born. So over 30 years old. So this is a much warranted and wanted release.
So we're talking
then-
to the Skaven expert. This man grew up with Skaven.
I grew up with Skaven, liking them a lot, but I did abandon them a few years into Age of Sigmar because I realized they weren't going to be getting any new models,
No
and I
marriage
wanted
is
the
ever
cool new
clean.
models. Yeah, I guess so. So I've had a bit of a reunion recently. And then Adam asked how many armies I play. I play over 10 armies. I play a little bit of every Grand Alliance. I have every Death Army, every Chaos God specific army, Orcs and Ogres, and then Idoneth, Sylvaneth, Daughters of Cain. So I just have a lot of stuff. I've been playing
Yep.
for what 8 years at this point, so I just pick up lots off people when they sell them, and I just enjoy the game. So
Nice.
Yeah. Shane is very well versed in AOS.
He's a grandmaster.
And yeah. So we won't really be talking much about the rules. I mean, like, if Shane wants to, speak about a model's rules, if he wants,
Whatever
that's
he has.
fine. But this will be mostly be looking at the new Skaven models
Looking at
because
that gap. I mean, gap.
looking at these, looking at the new and revamped Skaven models. So if you want to go to the next slide.
Here they
Cool.
are.
So
Look at that boy. He's got a flag.
we have clan rats. You have a lot
Right.
of these. You get a lot of these in your army.
I'm gonna
They are the
ask.
bog standard infantry. Yes.
Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but like, how many rats can have flags if you get a box of clan rats?
1 in 20.
God,
Yeah, you get one per.
that is a shame.
Or is it,
Squad- and
I'm sorry, it might be.
I feel
It
like
might be
two.
1 in 10, but
Yeah.
they're
Yeah, don't you
Better.
get? Yeah, can you run them in squads of 10?
no,
No.
their minimum unit size is 20.
Okay, because I remember I played some Spearhead games with the Skaven mostly, and I remember a guy at the GW store was telling me that I remember like each squad had it had an instrument, which is the bell there, and each also had a flag, I think, but that
It
may
is 1 in 20.
store.
One in
I
20.
got you.
Yeah, I just checked on their voice roll.
Got you. That's a shame. Because like part of me thinks like, man, if I had a Skaven army, I would want like all the normal infantry to just be holding flags.
Interesting.
Just be
Yeah,
Flags
the
are really
Patriot
useful as little
rats.
stabby bits.
Patriot clan.
From interviews that happened with the designers who actually did these new Skaven sculpts, their main goals were to try and make it so that they were low enough on detail that painting them wouldn't be a pain in the ass, considering you're going to be painting 20 of them for like, a single unit, or 40 of them if you're reinforcing it.
Ugh.
As well as they wanted all of them to be standing at like multiple different heights, so that when you put them all together in an infantry block, it looked disorganized and it looked almost like a wave,
I was about to
in the sense of
say.
like the vermin tide, in the same way that they have like the green tide for the orcs.
Wow, that makes
That's
sense.
clever.
That's clever.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, because
And you're gonna be
also it probably makes picking them out of the crowd easier when you have to remove them.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
yeah.
You
Pick up
have
the bell. you get his
100
little
models
sword.
on the field, and you gotta dig through which one died. Oh, the leader died.
I love the clan rats. I think they're so adorable.
I love them too.
I love them. I love
Every-
I love
Single one of them is doomed
Bell
to
guy
die.
looks
They're so
silly.
eager.
Flag guy looks like he's just an old rat that's gonna die. And then you got a little shield rat leader guy. Little
To be
helmet.
Yeah,
fair,
the leader.
if he's an old rat, that's an incredible achievement because Skaven
Yeah.
life expectancy is very short.
Yeah.
Fear the old rat
Yeah.
in
fear
the
the old
Skaven
rat.
army.
You should. He's still alive for a reason.
Yeah. He's holding the flag for a reason. Amazing. All right.
Hope it
Leader
don't last-
looks cool. Okay. Here
Ooh.
we have Kritok Foulblade, which
Correct.
Oh,
is
there's two tiny rats on the base.
one of two of the new characters for Skaven, named characters. And I don't know much about him. His rules look interesting. He has a big belly. Does something with storm vermin.
So
Shane?
yeah,
Burst them?
visually
What?
visually crit talk is designed to invoke what you pretty much pointed out earlier, right? He's balding a little bit on his head, which means he's older than other Skaven, which is very uncommon because their life
Oh,
expectancy
God.
is
And he's
low.
got the beer belly.
Yeah, the belly means that he eats well, which is extremely rare considering the mass population that Skaven have. It means he has a lot of power. And he has a few interesting lore elements. The first lore element being having to do with his sword that he has, with the blade he has, the foul blade per se. It actually has the spirit of a Skaven demon in it.
Boys.
Pretty much, it was the Skaven demon's punishment for trying to. I don't remember specifically who, but pretty much they tried to assassinate somebody and failed. So Kritok put him in the blade, and within the lore, at least in battle, he actually speaks to the demon, and in order to use some of the demon's power, he will chip a bit of time off the demon's sentence inside of its cell, within the blade.
Wait, so the
So-
demon failed to assassinate someone, and
Correct.
he was just like,
Well, yeah,
"I got
demons
you,
are-
bitch."
That's really cool,
Hit
actually.
in my
Not
sword.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
damn. Okay.
Yep, and then
Oh,
the other
fuck.
major lore thing about Kritok is that he has a rare trait, which is understanding the value of preservation. His troops understand that he doesn't want them to die, not because he cares about them, though they might perceive it maybe slightly that way, but because he understands that killing people for no reason in battle, throwing clan rats at the enemy just to die without any actual result, is a waste of useful resources. So he
God.
doesn't do that,
He's the
unlike
smart.
many other warlords who do.
He's a semi-smart Skaven.
Oh
Pretty
my
much, yeah.
god.
Yeah.
This
It's
is why he's the
horrifying.
big boss. He realized he lived so long that he realized.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
am
rats
I-
doing algebra,
how-
starting to
how-
learn math.
How old is this guy actually?
I don't know. They didn't reveal his actual age, so we're not entirely sure.
Okay.
Come more lore discussing him, maybe we'll know. But
How old is a Skaven usually?
I couldn't tell you their average life expectancy. I mean,
Rat,
the reason that most of them die is simply because they're all,
Yeah.
corpse grinder.
disposable, and
Yeah.
also Skaven culture quite literally encourages backstabbing and fucking other people over. I mean, that's the unfortunate problem is if you create an invention, no, you didn't. Whoever killed you did.
I
So,
see. Well,
um,
hey, that gets the invention. That keeps the invention going, right? It's just like, yeah, more invention, but it's just being stolen around instead of shared.
to go along with the themes too of the rats with gats, he does actually have a gun. You can't see it from this angle particularly well, but underneath his right hand, there's actually the holster to a gun. That's what the other assistant rat is carrying with him.
Oh, I see.
Oh, he's got.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah,
He's
and the
got
rat
a-
on his
I
left.
actually didn't know that.
he,
That's
he
cool.
he even brought a gun to the battle. He's a
And
man.
this model
he's
is
a
also a great example for me to point
wise
out something
man.
that was actually controversial about these models. If you look at the rat on the right side, who you can see there's a line, not his right, but like your right. He has a long line following part of his cloth, kind of splitting it up in the center. They actively made the choice to model these Skaven with these gaps in them in the cloth, specifically without including stitching inside of the modeling. So the painter would have to paint on the stitching if they wanted that included, or you can just assume that there's stitching underneath and not on top, or whatever you want. But in previous models that they've done, they've included the stitching between the cloth pieces, and they just chose not to do that for some reason here. So that's been a bit
imagine there's a
controversial.
To
Some
lot
make
people
it
of
don't like
easier
it.
to
cloths
paint.
on Sigmar models compared to 40k.
I'm not gonna lie, that's an okay choice because, like, honestly, you could do that yourself if you wanted stitching on. It's not that hard. I feel like it's just like
Yeah.
a little line.
When they model stitching onto models, it's usually larger than it would actually be, so it's usually very, very like prominent and in the forefront. They're huge stitches versus if you just paint little small details on there, it's not really going to look
Honestly,
that way.
at first I thought it was just gonna be that, like, oh, it's like cut up, but like
Because again, we're suffering from
the
the detail of Warhammer models. We're zoomed in so close and we can see so many details, but this dude's tiny, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's a Skaven, so Skavens are usually probably.
If this guy's on a
I'm trying to think
25 millimeter base, this guy's probably
Yeah.
on a
It's probably
30
at
at
32,
best.
maybe 40.
40
Yeah, I mean he's
at
pretty big
best.
for a Skaven, as you can tell next to his
He's a fat
subordinates.
boy. And
Well,
Because
but
his subordinates, they'd probably be shorter than an average human, but he's probably a bit taller than an average human, but he's nowhere near like ogre-sized or even remotely like that large.
Now that symbol on his chest plate, that's the Skaven symbol?
Are you referring to the one that's on the
triple
black
chopstick?
piece?
Yeah, the little
Yeah.
triangle.
That is the universal Skimbles.
Oh, yeah.
Skaven symbol.
I always look at it and I think about the triple chop.
It looks like it reminds me of like Blair Witch or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does
Yeah,
have
I
a bit
could
of like
see
a
that.
Wiccan kind of look to it.
Yeah.
That this is what we do when we have one extra chopstick and a cup
Such
that
an
we
easy,
don't want
such
to
an
wet
easy
the table.
symbol.
We do the triple chopstick and we put the cup on top.
What an easy symbol
Yeah.
to freehand, probably.
Oh yeah, it definitely is.
Oh, yeah.
Kritalk's cool. All right, to his retinue. Not really his personal retinue, but kind of. We have the elite of the Skaven, which are the Storm Vermin. Elite in quotation marks because, well, they're still Skaven.
They're all wearing helmets.
Yeah,
They can
they're
afford
armored too. They can afford armor.
God.
Shane.
helmets. Does it do them a lot of good?
So, within lore, Storm Vermin are the bodyguards to the upper crust of the Society of Skaven, those who have power. So they are equipped with good equipment because Skaven don't want to die, so they want their Storm Vermin to actually have decent equipment so that they can protect them.
We're following like this guy design for the Storm Vermin, basically.
Yeah, he's like a commander. He's the kind of person who would command Storm Vermin. The Storm Vermin are an interesting situation. I'm not sure if they've maintained the fantasy lore with them, where it used to be that larger Skaven were born with black fur instead of the standard brown fur that a lot of Skaven have. And when they were born, they were brought into being Storm Vermin because they were actually larger than most other Skaven and inherently more like violent than other Skaven as well. But I don't know if that's something they've maintained in the Age of Sigmar lore. I haven't checked on that recently, to be honest.
There is a guy's head on the top of this flag.
Yeah, there's a lot of severed
Notice.
things inside of a lot of this stuff.
Do
They
you...
look a lot meatier. It's almost like it's their posture.
Meaty.
I mean, they are better fed than the average Skaven, so...
And can you... Oh, go on.
Yeah. Continuing on with the Gats, the Claw Leader has a Gat.
It's true,
You
he
can
does
see
have
he has
a
a
gun.
pistol.
Which is a brand new addition with this release. There's never been a rule before where a Storm Vermin leader had a pistol, so this is the
Now
first
he
time that's ever been the case.
He's got a little pick and a pistol.
So what
Yeah,
the hell
Warpick
is
is pretty classic for them, actually.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's pretty
They're digging
common, I
around
see.
in the ground under our cities.
What is Warpstone?
So Warpstone is
Do we
effectively...
actually know, or is it just the MacGuffin rock?
I mean, it's pretty much like we know what it does and kind of how it acts. It depends on the lore you're coming from with it, where like it's, you know, warp from the warp in the essence of like chaos, but for Skaven specifically, it's like their magical power source that also doubles over as a drug. So oftentimes within Skaven lore, there's like going to be a Skaven character who can like consume warpstone and gain power from it. Like they'll
So-
literally eat it.
Do different factions just have like different warpstone?
No, Skaven are the primary ones that take advantage of warpstone.
Okay.
Because
And
it's
then
dangerous. Right?
the warpstone is just stone from the warp, basically.
Yeah, I couldn't really tell you where they've made it come from in Age of Sigmar.
Okay.
There's a lot of different... Realm Stone is what's common in Age of Sigmar, where like depending upon what realm you're
All
in, there's
that
like
matters
a
is that he
magical
loads his
resource.
gun with it, right?
I guess so, yeah, he's got a little magazine cartridge, so he just shoves a little crystal warpstone in there and it powers his gun.
Grinds it up.
One way to do it, I guess.
It's
But-
hilarious that you just like Warpstone is also a drug, but also fuels everything magic.
Yeah, there are several characters in historically with Skaven that are addicted to warpstone.
I was
So-
curious about this little symbol. Is this just the Storm Vermin symbol? Or is that something special?
I'm not particularly sure. I'm not familiar with it. It doesn't really... It just looks like general heraldry. It doesn't necessarily seem like it represents a specific clan or a specific lore
got
bit.
the X sad face.
That banner probably comes blank. You can paint it however you want.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Right, Storm Vermin are cool. Right, we have big bad.
Love this guy.
I saw the
This
I
guy's
Visit.
saw this model for
What?
the first time, and a friend of mine made
So-
a joke that the little rat on his right shoulder, that's Vizek Scour. And then there's just a giant unnamed demon.
Yeah.
Oh
next
my
to him.
god.
So-
it's him. It's him.
Jed. He might look like deceptively like he might look small, but this guy is absolutely huge on the table. Like he towers over normal Skaven.
Well, if the
And
rat's
he
that
is
big,
the second
it's
new
probably
release
like
of
a
named
big rat,
characters.
right?
Yeah,
And-
he's huge. Like if I can
Oh,
get a
he's
picture
like
at
ogre
some point,
size,
I'll
I
pull it
bet.
up.
No,
No,
No?
even more than that.
no,
He's like
he's a greater demon of the horned rat.
Or how do I
So
put this?
he's
Is he
he's
like
the
void
size
dragon size?
he's the size of a greater demon. So like he's the size of like a Lord of Change.
Okay. I'm like
I'm gonna
thinking
put-
model wise, is he like Is he,
yeah,
like,
I'm gonna
void dragon
add
size?
a picture real quick.
I feel like he looks about void dragon size from what I'm looking at. Which is like
Yeah.
that
He's very
model's
tall,
big,
but you
too.
say he's tall, he towers over Skaven. That's not exactly a great
Yeah.
accomplishment.
There you go, Jed.
I think Sauron towers over Skaven. Alright, hold.
I sent it in, like I put it in the chat. Maybe you need to refresh the page. Try and refresh that page real quick.
Put it in chat. Refresh.
No, not in that chat. In the Google Slides.
Regardless
Oh,
of Vizek's
okay.
actual like tabletop size,
You might need
he
to cut
is
that part out because that was at this good. Alright.
he is a full-on demon of the Great Horned Rat. He's actually
No,
the
it's
prophet,
you got to refresh it.
the chosen prophet per se. I believe actually Vizek is the one who the demon that was within Kritok's foul blade attempted to assassinate. So
Oh.
but he is a priest actually. He's the only greater demon of the Great Horned Rat that is a priest, because there's another one that is a wizard, and then I believe the other ones are just demons. They don't have casting or praying. But he is a level 2 priest, so he can cast 2 prayers, and he has a very unique rule where he has a prayer that he can use both during your turn and your opponent's turn.
Oh shit.
He can,
My god.
he can
It
Yes.
is
Oh
about
my goodness.
like oh wait, if Great Unclean One's like that, like the size of a fist, basically.
Oh, the one on the right, isn't that like the greater demon rat?
So that one on the right is the older greater demon kit, which makes several different kits. That
Got it.
specifically one is that's the clan pestilence greater demon. And he is an interesting one, but there is, I believe there's one for clan pestilence, one for clan Eshin, one for verminous, and then there is a one for master clan, and then there is the other named one, which is Screech Vermin King.
But this guy's bigger than Void Dragon size. Damn.
Yeah. I meant it. I was literal when I said he's the size of a Lord of Change.
Damn. Alright. Look at that boy.
I always loved like the long flowing hair on the great and like the insane goat horns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love this model a lot. I think the other ret demon models are fine. They can look pretty cool, but I like this one a lot. This is probably my favorite of the greater demons of Skaven.
The
I like
asymmetrical
Kritok a
horns
lot.
look real good,
Mhm.
along with the staff to give it like a cool profile.
Yeah, and he has like little bells hanging off because the bell motif is very common with Skaven, as well
Why is
as he has the the rats all over him, just like on his shoulders, on his staff, and everything.
I love that part. I love that he has just like a million little rats on him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also a priest, right?
Correct. He's a level 2 priest.
Yeah.
So, do Skavens like start as like normal rats? Like the normal rats just chilling with the Skaven.
The normal rats are just chilling with the Skaven.
Just chilling.
To my knowledge, they haven't made the lore that like the rats turn into Skaven.
They
He
kind
probably
of
can do some
The
demonic.
origin of Skaven has always been an extremely like there's like a million different
even
stories
the
as to where they came
Skaven don't
from. Kind of
know
thing.
where they came from.
how-
They killed the
like,
guy
how
who
did-
did know.
How did a problem grow
Whoopsie.
this large without us noticing?
Isn't it because Well,
There are no Skaven in the Empire.
yeah, there are no
course.
Skaven in the Empire. Yeah,
If you say otherwise, an Inquisitor will kill you.
because they don't want you to think about that threat too much.
Yeah.
The horned rat's already getting enough prayer.
Yeah.
Alright, on
Moving
to the next
on
model.
from
The
prayer
m-
to. Is this also a priest?
No,
No,
it
that's
is
an
a
engineer looking dude.
no. It's actually a master molder.
From prayer to
Um,
molding.
Yeah, I don't
Sounds
know much
terrible.
lore about these guys, but I know they're
God.
to deal with the clan molder side of things, which is like the rat ogres
God.
and the
Even
more
the little rat
mutated.
on him is mutated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Shane, if you wanna.
if you want to make a comparison to 40k, this is similar to the Homunculus Covens. This is the part of the Skaven where they do the Frankensteinian science of stitching things together and making
Oh,
monstrosities.
I just
This is-
noticed this guy stitched onto the side of his body.
Yeah,
loading
he has
his
a
gun.
yep, he has a little dude stitched onto him that's loading
that's
his
wild.
dart gun.
And now that's
he has a
separate
big old
from
man catcher.
Scryer, correct? They're the ones who make all the guns.
Scryer, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and the Skaven share their tech amongst each other for various reasons. So this guy is heavily mutated because that molders often experiment on themselves. Master molders. And inevitably, they sometimes will even fuse themselves into a monstrosity they create to try and create their magnum opus. But on the tabletop, his purpose is to buff monsters and buff rat ogres and
That's
various creatures
cool.
like that.
Gotta respect the dedication.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
like
how he
Frank-
has the
Like Frankenstein, it's like Frankenstein was the monster, but he was the monster and also the monster.
I'm just
Yeah.
looking at this tool like, okay, he clicks this. Something happens here. And
The
it
man
closes in, Yeah, the man pincher over here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I need your arm. Give me your arm.
Yeah. And then
Like-
warpstone to add to it, I guess.
He's got
I like
warpstone
how
on the back
he-
of his darts too.
yeah, I like how he has the little rat stitched onto his arm, just loading his gun. Like that's really cool to me.
That boy.
Little
And
guy
then the rat
stretching.
on top, who might or may not be stitched onto his body. Who knows?
No, he's just chilling. There's probably like an air sac.
It's just
There's an air sac.
sounds terrible.
Yeah, his lungs are up there probably.
I see. He breathes for him.
He's just moving all around.
Yeah.
Moving
Anyways.
on.
Moving on. The rat
Okay.
ogres.
Yeah, I know these guys.
Yep.
I love this.
The rat ogres.
Mhm.
Boys are
These guys are
amazing.
great.
Very, very nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, you could go.
a unique choice that they made with the rat ogres this time around. So historically, rat ogres are kind of weird because like they could have guns fastened to their arms, but that wasn't always the case. In early on Age of Sigmar, they kind of just had one member. They were in 2-man squads instead of this 3-man size, which is nice. I prefer the 3-man squad
I
size.
like 3-man squad. You get more
But
rat ogre.
one of the two would have a gun on his arm, and so they kind of kept that, but they changed it to like more like a flamethrower arm. So now, 1 in every 3 can have the flamethrower arm. So if you do reinforce this unit, you do actually have 2 of them with flamethrower arms.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's cool.
cool.
Hmm.
Flamethrower.
And
they look
like
pretty
the
cool.
idea,
When
though.
you say
like, if it
reinforce,
could-
what exactly does that mean?
You said what?
When you say reinforced, what exactly does that entail?
So, you have base unit size, which is the minimum size you can run a unit at. For clan rats, it's 20. For red ogres, it's 3. For storm vermin, it's 10. And then when you reinforce a unit, you double the unit size. You can only do it once. There's no like you don't pay points to add single models to a unit. You just pay to make a unit twice the size, and you pay the same as the normal unit cost is.
And
So
that's
like
an arm doubling?
yeah, so if like a unit costs 130 points to reinforce it, it costs another 130 points, goes up to 260, and you have like a double-sized unit.
Oh, so you just get that one for one unit for the game?
No, you can reinforce as many units as you want.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
It's like in the list building part, I think.
Yeah, it's part of the list building. Yes.
Cool.
Which I love this warpstone in his body. Makes a lot of sense somehow to me.
That gun
Yeah,
is
the
tough too.
symbol
Yes.
scarring with the warp stone integrated into their flesh and everything.
And then just hook arm. Let's go. Well, oh, I almost said pirate Skaven, but you know,
Pirate Skaven.
pirate Skaven. Pirate Skaven sounds
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
We should have some of those. We need some pirate Skaven up in here.
There were some Skaven pirates inside of Fantasy Battle lore, and I do know that actually the first people to actually invade the Ideneth Deepkin and force them out of the ocean at one point was actually the Skaven.
Oh my god.
They infested into a dead Leviathan, and then they
Ugh.
used that to carry them all the way down below the ocean to one of the sunken cities of the Ideneth Deepkin and invade them.
How dare they? How dare
That's
they?
hilarious.
Yeah.
But that's
Rats
so-
find a way.
Right.
Let's find a way.
If I'm not mistaken, these guys deal a lot of damage on the tabletop, but they're pretty squishy.
Yeah, they're sitting there with a 5-up save, no ward save whatsoever. But they have 5 attacks per model. And if you have them inflict 1d3 damage to themselves, they can increase their attacks for 1 at the beginning of combat. So you can have like a 3-man unit of them pumping out 18 attacks, or a 6-man unit of them with 36 attacks.
That's nice.
And it's I think Rend 1, or in 40k terms AP 1, and it's 2 damage per hit. So yeah, they can do a lot, but they will crumple over and die. They have, I believe, 5 wounds each per model, but a 5-up save is very easy to get through, especially when you don't have a ward save, and a ward save is in 40k turns a feel no pain.
Yeah.
Interesting. But I bet
I remember
this
this.
guy.
I remember the
becomes
Spearhead
stronger.
games. This one, the guy in Griffstalker or whatever his was, or the guy with the little Griff Hound. He was
Mhm.
such a pain to get rid of because he had that 5-up ward.
Yeah, actually, to correct myself, they each have 4 wounds. But of course, I'm using old terminology. Current Age of Sigmar uses a health characteristic, so they have 4 health each.
Interesting.
Dick.
Weird.
Ogres,
All right,
baby. Woo.
on to the next one.
Ooh.
Oh,
What
lovely.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a
So for some
beautiful boy.
context, this is actually what I was talking about earlier. That on the left side of him, at least when they'd revealed him, was claimed to be that is a master molder who fused himself with his creation.
Oh. Oh.
Mhm.
Yeah. This is the Brood Terror, I believe.
Correct.
Yeah, the Brood Terror.
It's like,
So
I
he's
gotta make
pretty
this
big.
better. I'll put me in it. That'll make it better. God
Karen, you
dang.
did. I'll tell you right now.
This is freaking evil flesh claw that's poking out. That's nuts. And then he has scissors hands.
Well, I
And-
think what that is it's a blade, but the blade is like surrounded by flesh, so it hasn't fully like cut its way out of the flesh that surrounds it.
Oh, so that's his blood.
Probably.
Probably,
Could be somebody
yeah.
else's, who knows?
They had the stitching this time.
Yeah, they do
That's
have
really
the
cool.
stitching on the flesh. They did include the stitching on the flesh. That's just not on the cloth.
Does he have a warp flamer?
Yeah, he has like a warp fire thrower arm in essence, and then on his right arm he actually has like a multi-chained flail. You can't really see it particularly well from this
Oh,
angle,
I see.
but
Like, see it kind of down here. The big.
yeah, and the interesting thing about the warpfire throwers, the flamethrowers that they have inside of Age of Sigmar is that they've kind of done this. They've done this weird way of presenting how those work. So they hit on a 2-up because they're flamethrowers, so hitting with them is very easy. But then they wound on a 4-up. And that's kind of the universal thing that they have for like all of the flamethrower guns.
Oh, wow. Hit. You rolled a hit. Flamethrowers and AOS.
Yeah,
I'm
they
so
don't-
used to 40k where it's just like out
Well,
of hit.
yeah,
Don't
like,
worry.
The two-
Already
in
so
previous
much more-
editions of Age of Sigmar, actually flamethrowers just said count the number of units or number of models in the unit within range. Roll that many dice for every 4-up. They take a mortal wound.
Oh,
That's what they used to do,
Well,
and they
that's
changed it
awful.
this edition.
damn. So like you just hit a unit and you could kill all of them potentially. You could kill a whole Skaven unit in one go.
I mean, very, very unlikely.
Yeah,
You'd have to
because
roll
it's a
all
4
4-ups.
ups. But
More so, like statistically, you're going into a unit of 20, 10 of them will die if they each have 1 wound. And that's kind of like they were horde quelling, I guess, was the point of them, but they didn't really like that role for them, so they moved it over to this.
I see. And now it
Yeah. And a 2-up is really good in Age of Sigmar. Very rarely will anything hit on a 2-up in AOS.
Yeah, Space Marine equivalent to the Stormcast are 3-ups, 3-ups on other attacks.
Hmm.
Oh, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, Brood Terror, pretty cool. New big monster for
You run
Molder.
that guy as a single model, or is he in a unit?
A
He is
single
a
model.
single model, yeah.
Interesting.
Can you run
Yeah,
multiples of them, or is it in...
So the basic rule of Age of Sigmar is that in order to be a monster, pretty much anything that is a monster, except for in very, very, very minimal exceptions, is a single unit. It is a single model, and you cannot reinforce single models. So you could run multiple of this guy. He's not like a named character, but they would not be in a squad together. They would be separate models.
Okay.
But you can reinforce. These are monsters.
They are not.
Oh.
They are infantry.
Oh.
Yep.
Never mind.
That dude's a big boy.
That's just a big boy. But moving from big boy to riding on big boy.
Yeah, it is a
Claw Lord.
Claw Lord on... I forget the exact name for it, but he comes in the Dominion box, and he is
With a red
one of
Like
the
Hell-
mounted leader
Hell
options.
Beast or something.
Yeah, Shane probably knows.
Gnaw Beast.
Not
Gnaw
Beast, yeah.
Gnaw
Claw
zombie.
Lord on Gnaw Beast.
I thought that was another tooth that was like coming off from the other side, but that was just his tongue.
Yeah, so for like older fans of Skaven like me, this is kind of a throwback to a model that existed as a Forge World model for a good while. Yeah, it currently exists inside of Total War Warhammer. If you go play that game, it's a Skaven, a Skaven commander, and they would be riding what was called a Brood Horror, which was a much chunkier, much thicker, monstrous rat mount. But that was the only real four-legged mount that Skaven had, and so they kind of have a throwback with this guy riding on the Gnaw Beast, which is a new concept, which is more like emaciated, thin creature, a little bit faster, more like a kind of like a more like a I guess like a weird wolf or a weird cat in some ways.
You take a brood horror and then you don't feed it, and now you have a knobbies.
Yeah, it's almost like
Wow.
a really large giant rat, which was used to be a unit you could run for Skaven, where it was like a big pack of just giant rats.
Ah. That's cool. I like this model. I especially that glaive. This like glaive over here. With
It's like a warpstone glaive.
Yeah, I love that. Their weapons look awesome. Like
Mhm.
always.
Yeah, and then it's fairly unique that he has the like repeater pistol that he has.
A little Gatling pistol.
Mhm.
Yeah, rats with gats.
Yeah, I mean gats.
Yeah, he's cool. He's a leader option. For AOS, comes in the Dominion box. Pretty cool. All
He's
right.
got he's got a funny enhancement in Spearhead where his gun just gets double shots.
Yeah, I love that one. That one's good.
Nice. And he's
That's
got
cool.
his toes out, and toes are power, as we know. So
Well, the interesting thing about him too is that he has something that's a little bit reminiscent of the Commissar in 40k, where he has a rule where he can execute one clan rat to increase the
Amazing.
control score of the entire unit.
That's amazing. I love that. I already love this guy now. He's just like, I gotta kill you so we can do better. Ah.
He's the Lord.
That's amazing. I love this guy. This guy's great.
Very cool. On to the next model. All right. So we have two separate models, but they're both pretty similar. They are the Arch Warlock and the... I think it's the Galvanier, something Galvanier, but they are
Warlock
both...
Galvanier, I believe.
Yeah, Warlock Galvanier. So they are both Scryer models. And I think the Arch Warlock, very, very cool model. I love it. It's one of my new releases it's one of my favorite releases from the new line.
This is
you
the
want-
rats are doing math, and I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is the section where the
I
rats
like
are
this
actually...
galvanizing at that. Like,
Yeah.
look at his gun. Look at that, that power trailing into the orb.
It's actually pretty funny. The Warlock Galvanier was one of the first things we saw because it got leaked like months and months ahead of the actual official reveals. But when it got leaked, it was like somebody just had the model, so they just had like an unpainted model just like sitting that they showed everybody, and nobody knew what the hell it was. So it was a very interesting situation.
Whoopsie. Showed everyone, but no one knows. So
Yeah,
that's cool.
but-
That's cool. Like everyone finds out this cool guy's a thing, actually. And you
So are
Yeah.
these
are
single
one too.
characters?
They are single characters. They made an interesting choice with this edition compared to previous, where throughout Age of Sigmar's history, a warlock engineer was a level 1 wizard. They were always a level 1 wizard. Moving into this new edition, only the arch warlock is now a level 1 wizard, and then the other warlock engineers, in which there are 3 of. There's the Galvanier as well as the Bombardier, and then also the Sniper Rat, which I'm trying to remember the name of right now, but I think that's just the standard. I think he's
Yeah,
just
he's just a warlock engineer.
he's just a warlock engineer. Yeah,
Yes,
so and their purposes are predominantly like the warlock engineer helps Giselles out in a certain way. The Galvanier helps out a new weapon team that they introduced. And then the Bombardier doesn't have any specific buffs, but there are several pieces of equipment for Scryer that say if there is a Warlock engineer within combat range, which is 3 inches, they can overload the weapon, and then the weapon gets extra attacks, but also for every 1 that you roll, the weapon takes damage.
Cool. These are little buff pieces that you just kind of mingle around your war machines to help
Let's see.
improve your output. And I imagine Skaven firepower is erratic at best.
It can be. It depends. Giselles and stuff like that are a lot more reliable. Where like the more Gatling-esque things, like the Rattling guns and the lightning cannon and all that stuff, can feel a little bit more random, because oftentimes they'll have D6 attacks, or like 2d6 attacks, or like
The more science they use, the stronger they get.
yes.
Let's see.
GW has recently accepted characteristics like 3 plus D3, which makes stuff a little bit less random, where instead of the minimum being 1, is the minimum is now 4, and then you can also have 6 if you roll decently.
Nice.
But they can be very erratic, they can be very explosive. And one of my favorite details about the Arch Warlock is that this is a model replacing a holdover model from Fantasy Battle that was actually a named character, which was Icket Claw. And he used to be the only Skaven who had like the big claw on his hand. But now they've kind of made that a standardized thing, and
Now
just
they
made it a
all
generic.
have the big claw. It's
Yeah,
like when
generic
they did
character.
the Overlord, Necron Overlord. Except it's not like it used to be only that guy had the arrow.
Yeah, and an interesting detail too, if you look at his halberd, I believe it actually does have a flamethrower in it.
Oh.
At the top
Yeah,
of it, you
it's
see
got
the
I
barrel at the
see.
little
top.
gas,
So
little
that's
gas
what-
bubble.
Okay. Wow.
Super
Fuck
cool.
that.
Love the model.
He's got everything he needs.
And his special ability is that he lets a unit Overwatch for free, effectively. It's Age of
Ah.
Sigmar's version of Overwatch.
Gotcha. I bet that's not great. So.
No, it is actually very powerful. It's just you make a shooting attack at -1 to hit.
Oh my
but
god,
you-
it's so much better than 40k Overwatch.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you have to shoot the closest enemy.
Okay, I see.
So your
Yeah,
opponent
like-
can screen things out, and expect that you're going to do it.
And
Yeah.
Overwatch is 40k, where you have like 40 shots on
And
some
only
unit.
one
These
of them
dudes are,
hits. Because
yeah,
the
these
same-
dudes are putting out like 2d, like 3d, like D3 plus 3. You got to hit some of them.
that's kind of
Yeah. And one thing with this, Jed, like shooting in AOS is a lot more powerful than it is in 40Ks, because in 40K everything has shooting. It's just the bog standard. Whereas in AOS, having shooting attacks is pretty good. Like
that's why the turtles
even yeah, just having any shooting in
I love
AOS.
the death Deepkin Leviathan or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shooting is in an interesting place, because you used to be able to shoot in combat. If you were in combat, you could shoot what you were in combat with during your shooting phase. But they removed that. You can no longer do that in Age of Sigmar. So if you tag something into your combat range and it's a shooting unit, it just can't shoot. And that's huge to be able to tag shooting units. And also everything's range is much shorter. So something like an artillery piece, like a cannon, maybe has 24-inch range, maybe.
So my
There's
big
a lot
turtle
of long
can't
range
shoot in
guns.
melee anymore. Oh,
Yeah, a lot of long range guns have 18-inch range.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, this ball sack shooter, he's gonna do great in this world. I think so.
I like the model. I think he's fun.
The pulse.
Yes, fucking fine. Moving on.
Ah,
Gatling bike.
Beauteous.
The rattling gun.
What faction in
Oh,
Age of
hail
Sigmar
the
just has a
rattling
fucking
gun.
minigun?
Kind of beautiful.
It's so good. It's so good.
It looks
Yeah,
like it was
this
put together with scrap
is-
metal. Amazing.
Yeah, this is the Rattling Warp Blaster, I believe, which is a big artillery machine gun thing for Skaven. Shoots out warpstone, right? I think. You can overcharge it, and instead of rolling 3d6 for attacks, you roll 66, I believe. So you're just pumping out shots. If you want to go
the
more
little guys on the
in-depth.
bottom, it's got wheels, but it still needs to be pushed. There's
Yeah.
no.
Hey, you spent all your tech on the actual gun piece.
Yeah.
You can't.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
you
that's
can tell it
interesting
what to do.
factor of it is it only has a 6-inch movement characteristic.
Oh. That sounds like. Well, okay. What's normal?
Didn't one of those
movement?
guys get run over by its own wheel in the trailer?
Yes, they did.
That's hilarious. Gotta love Skaven.
Yeah, that is not up to OSHA standard.
What's
You think
in?
Skaven care
I
about
think
that?
they killed the OSHA
No,
guy.
certainly
in
not,
their plan.
But if a Stormcast rolled by, they'd be like,
It's
Then murder them.
beautiful. What can I say? Just a beautiful gun.
I love the gas mask. Every rat that has a gas mask is great.
Speaking of gas masks,
Yeah, we're worried about
The next-
contamination, guys. It's like safety is a mindset.
Acolyte Globadiers. I've been waiting for this model to get a revamp because the old models were dog shit.
They were
These-
from 1993, I think.
Yes,
They
they
were
look like
pewter
monkeys.
models from 93, yes.
Older
They look
than
like
all,
monkeys.
literally all of us.
Correct.
But here they are, new and improved, and I love the look of them. Actually, this is
You know,
great.
those pewter models on eBay for super cheap, right, guys?
Yeah. Yeah, go get some lead models.
That's nuts. It's like me
So
looking at my
Shane-
brother's Sisters of Battle when he first got into it.
Yeah.
I don't actually know what are they throwing? What is inside of that green ball?
You've played Vermintide.
I have.
Yeah, you've seen
Is
the
it-
Globadier in that game.
How is it just gas?
Yeah, it's
like,
poisonous gas.
Okay.
They are the what's the I'm thinking NATO, but it's the other thing.
Hmm?
What's-
Geneva Convention.
Yeah.
Oh,
breakers?
Geneva!
Yeah,
breaking the
Yeah,
Yeah,
Geneva.
they're using mustard
Yeah,
gas on you.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
doing the Geneva
welcome to
Convention
Skaven.
breaking
Yeah.
things.
What's a war crime? An opportunity.
Yes, these are your war crime boys.
I mean, let's be real. The Cruel Boys literally canonically in lore capture people and then put them in a big ass swamp where they keep all of their monsters and then bet on which one is gonna live the longest.
See, that's gambling, and that's legal.
Yeah.
That's just gambling.
This was busted gas everyone.
Yeah. So a unique thing about this unit is they're very fragile, but because of that fact, they have a special rule where if they are within the combat range of an ally unit, I believe, I don't think it worked. I think infantry units. It might be clan rat specific. Then they cannot be targeted, unless you are within 12 inches of them. So
They're being shepherded by the horde.
yeah, they're hiding within the rabble so that like you can't shoot them with ranged weapons unless you're really close.
What's the validity of a of a skull gas mask that looks like it's kind of open there.
And then the other guy just has a bag.
Yeah,
It's
this
so
guy's
sick.
got a bag. It's just covering his
Cloth-
face.
cloth
He just
sack on his
he
head.
just took a pastry
not that
bag
guy.
that you used
This-
to put.
This guy did the
cream on a
assignment
cake.
correctly. You know?
That guy's got a little
Oh,
hard hat.
yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. They
Those
just
are the
fill up
Globadiers.
balls, chuck them at people.
The
Amazing.
drip of Skaven is considered unnatural to many.
The drip of Skaven. I don't think I want Skaven dripping anywhere near me.
Steal his look. $4.99.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the Giselle. They're only showing one model in this picture, but they come in squads of 3. They're basically rat snipers. Yeah, there's nothing more to them.
They're quite literally rats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Camping little rats.
I love how, like, they have this, and I assume it's so that they can look out of it without getting shot, right? But then he's still looking off to the side, and he's like, did
Yeah,
we
because you
hit?
can't see through the little slits.
Yeah. So the design is,
Probably because painting something that's face is right behind the shield would be beyond annoying.
true.
So they just decided to pose it that way.
It's just very funny to think about. It's like,
Yeah.
he couldn't see through the slits, so he had to look around like, oh, did we hit them? There we go. Amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting. They designed the Giselle kit where one Giselle is a double-barreled Giselle in the unit, but it doesn't do anything. So like the assumption is that initially that was the unit champion, the unit leader, and then they decided, wait, we don't need a unit leader for this unit. Where normally a unit leader gets +1 attack. They decided not to do that, I guess. So
They just taped 2 guns together. Now, and you still have to shoot them separately and load them separately.
This is a very nice upgrade of a classic model.
This is cool.
Giselles have been in the range for a very long time. They've been, I think, resin for a long time, and I've seen a million conversions of them over the last 8 years of just people trying to put them in their army, but not wanting to deal with buying, fine cast resin and dealing with all that shit. So
Love the sniper boys. Snipers, Skaven feels like a good mix. Feels
Yes.
like with where they belong. Shooting
Yeah,
people
they look cool.
and with a friend. Gotta
They
have friends.
actually recently got nerfed. They used to be 24-inch range, but now they're 18-inch range.
18-inch.
So
Welcome to the team.
still really long range though.
they're 18-inch range unless they stand still. So if they stand still, they go up to 24-inch range. But that rule
Oh.
used to be that they were inherently 24-inch range, and they got
Sounds like
+1
they're
to
gonna
hit if they
stand still a lot. Alright. But moving from snipers to every other gun, I guess.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so this is the Warp Spark battery team, I think.
Yeah.
Right, Shane?
Warp Spark battery team is one of 3 variations. You have the rattling gun, the warp fire throwers, which are not on this image, and the newer ones, which are the galvanic guns. I'm trying to remember what they're called. The galvanizers, the warp galvanizers, I think they're called.
My favorite looking gun.
The ones with the crystals poking out of them.
Yes, correct. And that is a brand new thing. That is not something that existed prior to this release.
I
It was
love
the
these galvanizers. These are great. Maybe it's just because they feel very mad scientist.
Mhm.
So it's just like, yeah.
And
you got
Galvanizers.
they come in units of 3. So you pick which gun, and every single one of them has that gun. So there's no mixing and matching. It's you either are rattling guns, galvanizers, or warfire throwers, all 3 of them.
Love the little rat friend. This rat.
The
The
little
size of a
rat,
rattling.
rat pack, rat cargo hauler.
What is
Mm.
this rat? Like, if this rat
Yeah,
lives,
they're all really different.
is he a ratling too, or is he just a really big rat?
He's a Skaven. Yeah, he's big
He's
enough.
just he looks like a big rat. I don't think he's actually like
His eyes are green. He's probably been lobotomized in
That's
some
fair.
way.
Yeah, he's been lobotomized.
He's been
That's
turned into Rat Pack.
yeah, he's Rat Reek.
Yeah, he doesn't need to.
He's been turned into Reek. He is no longer Theon.
all the
yes.
stories.
Yeah. They have the same rule where you can hide them in a squad and you can't target them if it's, I think, is it more than 12.
Yeah, if you are more than
chain.
12 inches away, you cannot target them if
Give
they
them
are next
some
to a infantry squad.
body
I think it's
power
clan rats
defense.
specifically.
That's kind of nice. That's nice.
Look pretty cool.
And the
I like them.
Gatlings, I do like that there's like different choice of Gatling. You got the 4-barrel is what it looks like. Was that a 2-barrel? That looks like a 2-barrel, and that's a 4-barrel. And then that's the classic 6-barrel. Nice.
Yeah, it's cool. They made all the models pretty different, which is
Like a little
nice.
drum mag. I just realized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I said, rats with gats.
it's a gat.
All right.
But now we're looking at rats with drills.
The drill.
I don't
Oh,
know
really?
much about this model since I actually don't really like it that much. I think it's fine, but
This is the
Rat-
drill that
the rat-
pierces the heavens.
It's the Rattering Ram.
so if you want to go more in detail, Shane, I don't really know too much about it.
So these have existed for a long time. This was the third weapon team originally. They've kind of replaced it with the galvanizers, but you still have kind of a remnant of it on the the big rat ogre model that is the I can't remember the name of it right now. I'm thinking Storm Fiend. No, Storm Fiends. It's the Storm Fiends have a option where you can give grinder fists, which are pretty much this, and it lets them redeploy, like kind of redeploy and teleport. In essence, this does a similar thing. What you can do is you can have this start off the board with a unit accompanying it, and then you can have it drill up onto the battlefield
I love that.
with that unit alongside it. And the interesting thing about it is you can actually have it come onto the battlefield in combat range,
Oh my god.
which is very, very rare. Yeah, you can
You
have it
could
just show up in combat range.
because now you could just stop a gun from shooting if you.
Correct.
pop
Yeah,
it.
you could find their guns and just have this spawn right next to them.
Wow. Just be like.
But the issue
I'm here.
is it's on a 4-up.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. They had to make
Just roll
it.
a 4 up, Fred. It's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Just
you
roll a
got-
4-up, yeah.
Yeah, you have to have skill to
Skill.
to roll a 4-up and
Adam's
deploy the
very
skill.
skilled at rolling 4 ups.
I make an
Yeah.
unusual amount of 5s and 6-ups for some reason.
I only
and
do
I
it
don't
with
think
my
I
Necrons. If
specified.
I play with my Tyranids, I'm not rolling 4-ups.
I don't think I
Sure.
specified. It's called a warp grinder. This is a warp grinder
Warp
weapon team. But this
grinder.
comes as one single model. It does not come as 3 models like the other weapon teams do.
I love it though. You just
Now it's more
pop
of a
in with a 6 squad of, I don't know, rat
Rat
ogres.
ogres.
Yeah, and just chuck them in, and they don't get shot, so they can do their damage. That's amazing. This is great. The synergy is real. Yeah.
Yeah,
Moving.
Pretty cool. Big drill.
Moving on to bikes. Ball bikes.
Yes. These
The
are the
death
Doom
balls.
Flayers, which is the cavalry equivalent for the Skaven army. Models look cool. I like them.
The most dangerous
Also
looking
don't know too
fucking
much.
bike in the world, but
General Grievous's car from Star Wars 2.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, they do kind of look like General Grievous's
Just a
car,
little
don't they?
tangent. There's
Well, honestly, if you want something that looks more like General Grievous's car, it's the Doom Wheel, because General Grievous is in the middle of that, right? And the Skaven
Oh, right,
and
the
the
Doom
Doom
Wheel's
Wheel's
the
in
big
Oh
one.
yeah, you're right.
Mhm.
That's right.
true. They
Yeah,
love it.
so these are an interesting one. I don't believe that they used to come in a squad size of 2. I think they were originally single, like a single model that you would just run. So
They've
they upgraded
realized
them to make
one
it
would
as well.
die, so they need another to make
I
it.
guess so. But yeah, this is a pretty cool redesign of a classic for them. I honestly did not think they were going to bring it back. I thought they were going to ditch this, but they kept it around, and I think it looks good.
Love it.
I think it's hilarious. I don't know how you could ditch that.
They were like a weird resin model for a long time. Like much of Skaven, they were either resin or pewter, and nobody wanted to deal with them.
Here they are. Welcome to the plastic world, Skaven. You're going to sell a lot of boxes because
Yeah, it's not going to get any better.
Yeah, it's not gonna get any better. It'll get a little bit better, and then it's not gonna get anything.
I think my favorite part of this is like they feel like their literal wheel with swords that are just like chopping at the very front isn't efficient enough. So they need to have a little sword.
Yeah.
Where it's like they're like,
What if-
holding on with 2 hands is stupid. I can hold on with 1 hand and hold a sword in my right hand
It's amazing.
because I don't
What-
think my death wheel is gonna death them enough, and I need to stab them.
It's a death
What if you
wheel. They're
barely
supposed to
missed
die
all your
too.
life?
Yeah, they are standing
look-
so precariously on this thing. Like,
It's very hard to aim. You'll probably need to take a swing or two.
yeah, they're gonna miss and swing you with hit you with the
They'll
sword.
be like the Dothraki in like late Game of Thrones, where they just like leap off of their horses at people for no fucking reason.
Oh yeah, they just forgot that they're riding a death machine.
I have a brilliant idea. Sir, no.
Amazing.
Yes.
Yes.
It would be so cool if I vaulted off of my horse and stabbed someone. Yes, but you should probably stay on your horse.
I just imagine a Skaven find this for the first time, go like, "Oh great, now I can reach the enemy faster to hit with my sword."
I think a Skaven jumps off the wheel to stab somebody, and the doom wheel just goes off, and a
Yeah.
normal Skaven, like Clanright, just jumps up and
Hops back
ah,
on it.
right now.
Yeah,
It's like the
Mine.
Batmobile.
it's
You can
amazing.
remotely have it come back to you.
Call it
Haha, mine.
It doesn't come back to a Skaven. It just goes to a new Skaven.
Yeah, a new one just goes, oh shit.
Oh wow,
free doom wheel.
Free Doom
Nice.
Wheel.
I guess I'll ride it. Oh wait, I can hit people with my sword while on this.
Make sure to park your doom wheel in the appropriate spaces.
Yes, that is on top of other Skaven.
Every Skaven that enters a battle with some Doom Flayers in it immediately looks at them and goes, ours.
Welcome. Time to
Glorious.
take Skaven. Beautiful, beautiful Skaven boys. But it looks like we have one last little peek, not from the Skaven side,
Oh,
but we have my favorite model, the greatest boy in the big world.
you just stuck this in at the end.
There was somehow we have
This is
a sudden Achillean Leviathan. That's it.
yes.
It was Leviathan. I'm so glad I got that
Yes.
right.
Yeah,
My
the
favorite
Leviathan,
boy.
very cool. This was God. This model came out in first edition Age of Sigmar actually. And this army has not had a significant release since first edition. They just released them and went, here you go. That's
okay.
everything.
It's okay. All I need in my life is turtle. But look at this. He's got a crushing charge. Amazing.
Mhm.
Exactly what I expect from my turtle. He's got a void drum, because you gotta have beats when you go into the battle. He's playing those beats by Dre, by Dre Thrall.
Mhm.
And he gets to chomp on people, and he gets to harpoon people. I feel like this changed from last time I saw it, this little thing, but it's still a lot of damage. 3 damage is a lot.
I mean, some of the key things that you can see about it is that it says Leviathan, Scythed Fins, and Crushing Jaws.
Yeah.
Those used to be 2 separate attack characteristics.
I loved hitting
Oh,
with the crushing
gross.
jaws. That used to be my favorite thing. It's like, oh, my scythe fins, and then you see the crushing jaws come. It's like, yes, I'm gonna eat this guy.
Yeah, so he has sharp teeth, which means he's a carnivore.
Mm-hmm.
That's horrifying.
Yeah,
It's a turtle.
well,
It's a big
I mean,
carnivores.
that's
Sure.
everything that they ride. The Achillean corpse pretty much specifically
No.
ride carnivorous eels in which they purposefully blind. They actually cover their eyes.
Oh my god,
so-
the samurai way.
And
course.
then there's also
Bells.
the sharks that they ride as well, which are almost like chariots, where there's like 2 person
Does
per shark.
someone ride a seahorse?
Is this turtle flying? Like, how is it on the battlefield?
Yeah, so
It
within
rides
their
the
lore,
waves. Of
within their lore, the
whatever.
Idoneth Deep can use magic specifically to create what's called the Aether Sea, which effectively
Oh.
turns the air around them in the battlefield into swimmable water for sea creatures. People can breathe it, but it's kind of like being at a high altitude. It's like it's very alien and weird to kind of just like be in the Aether Sea, and then they will literally swim through the air as if it were water. So everything in the Idoneth Deepkin
These
army.
sea elves, they just
does
love their
fly.
animals so much they had to take them into battle with them. They had to.
The ocean wasn't enough.
Little turt over here. he needed to free the other side of the world. You know.
They blind him as well. They cover up his eyes.
Yeah, most of their sea creatures they blind. Yes.
Maybe not
Yeah,
see the
'cause
other. He needs to
They
taste the
probably
other
wouldn't be able
world.
to handle flying over land.
They're just very
Like cult-
enthusiastic indulgers of food.
It's
All
it's a
food.
way to it's a way for them to force total obedience out of the creature, because the creature cannot use its senses to make decisions. So they are the sole person making decisions for the creature.
That's okay.
Um,
He's just listening to the music, eating people. It's amazing.
Yeah, he has his AirPods in.
Yeah, he has his AirPods in. Yeah, his
yeah,
air people
exactly.
in.
Sorry, his C pods.
His C pods. Yes, his C pods in.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And a nice change they made to him this edition compared to last edition or any other edition really is it used to be his void drum only affected thralls. It only affected the foot troops. But now the void drum ability actually affects all Idoneth Deepkin units,
Oh, you
which is
can
nice
have
because he
a little raider unit because they have the shark guys. Yeah. Oh my god. Cavalry for
Ed,
life.
do you own Idoneth Deepkin?
I have a turtle. I have a single turtle, and I have the one king guy. He's like on a crazy looking seahorse.
yeah the
Unicorn
Achelian
seahorse.
King.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
That is one of, I believe that their mount is the only sea creature within their ranks that they don't blind by covering
Hey,
their eyes.
we respect it too much.
But yes,
Yeah.
the Achelian Kings are they're very good. Those are called deep mares that they ride.
Are they also carnivorous? Like,
That's
Yes, I mean
that's
a
like
oh
little.
my
that's
god.
like a horse equivalent. You don't blind your horse.
We blind
Yeah.
everything else but the horse. Amazing. See, my dream army is about 3 of these, and just the king, and then maybe some guys on sharks, and that's it. That's all I need.
It is legal. It is a legal army in AOS.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you have a hero leading your regiment, you can have like 3 turtles in it, and that would be
Hell yeah.
3 additional units, I believe.
This is why I like AOS.
How much health does this guy have? Wait, go
If you
back.
go back to the yeah, go back.
Oh,
Because
wow.
yeah, it has 16 health of the
It's got
3
the
of save.
Space Marine save.
That's chunky. That's
And a
chunky.
5
The
up
3 of
ward.
save. Yeah. So he's pretty chunky. He has crit mortal on his melee, which is really good
Right,
because it's
see,
also
that's
3
nice.
damage. Which crit mortal is just straight up mortal wounds to hit.
And he flies.
really good.
Flies on the
He does fly, yes.
HSC.
Yes.
Flies the 10-inch move.
My beautiful boy. You know what? He's still great. It's still amazing.
Yeah. I don't know how it snuck in, but I guess there was an Idoneth.
That it did.
Yeah.
But yeah,
All right.
so that's what the turtles have to contend with. But that's rats with gats. Always watch
Yeah.
Brilliant.
That's
Well,
Well,
Rats
this
with
was
Cats.
fun. This is fun talking about stuff we don't normally interact with.
No,
Yeah.
I love rats.
I mean,
This
I did buy the Skaven half of the box, so I'm getting involved with it pretty
Oh,
soon.
so Donovan over here is getting ready for some Skaven.
You're right. Yeah, it's going to be a relatively simple color scheme.
Nice.
So I already paint my Space Marines yellow because I hate myself. So it's
you're
gonna
paint
be.
your rats yellow?
I'm gonna be. Yeah, I'm going for an Elden
So
Ring.
no, I'm
aesthetic.
going with yellow.
It's gonna be
With
all
a checkered
like
design and
all the
red bleeding.
warpstone is gonna be glintstone. They're all gonna have like the yellow frenzy eyes, and all the base. And they're gonna have like the same like dark gray black, like with fleshy pink noses that the Elden Ring and like FromSoft rats have. And then the base is gonna be like fallen autumn leaves.
That's cool.
That's cool.
That's
That's
cool.
actually really
It
cool.
should be easy. It sounds easy in my head.
Till you actually
You
start
just reminded
painting
me.
40 clan rats.
The Skaven half comes with 40 clan rats, doesn't it?
Yes.
Correct. Yes.
God, there are
You'll
40 rats in
probably even be.
those.
You probably want to run more than that.
Ugh. What's a
Right,
big gun?
Shane? You probably want
I
like.
mean, it really just depends on what you're trying to do with your list. I mean, you can. I've ran plenty of lists with just 2 units of 20. They're obnoxiously resilient, those little fuckers. I mean, at the end of every single turn, you bring D3 of them back.
Baby.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I will investigate the depths of the Skaven arsenal. The ratlet hole is bottomless.
Investigate and
And
bring it
very
back to us so you can test your wits against OG Ratman.
Good lord.
Jay.
I'll study up on rat. Have you read any Skaven books? Are there any Skaven books?
So Skaven are usually antagonists whenever they do show up. They're
Very
pretty
few,
frequent.
much like Tyranids.
They're skeletal.
Yeah, much like Tyranids. But there is a lot of fiction out there, some of which is from perspectives of Skaven. They've done a couple of different narrative pieces that have been posted to Warhammer community about it. I don't know of any Age of Sigmar books that center a Skaven as like the protagonist, but it could always be the case. I'm not a big Black Library reader.
Take a look. It might be interesting.
It's hard to read.
Yeah.
Like all the Black Library stuff. There's so much. So much.
This was fun. All the new Skaven models, very, very nice, very well sculpted.
Yeah. And
I
thank
don't think I have a
you-
problem with any of them.
Thank you, Shane, for joining us and talking
thanks
about
for
some
Thanks
Skaven.
for enlightening us.
For sure. When you talk about Stormcast, I don't know what the hell you're talking about because I don't pay attention to that faction. So
Well, neither will we, so it's perfect.
Oh yeah. Skaven. Rats with Gats. Let's go.
Pretending we know what we're doing is half the job.
That's the way.
That's the American way,
Yeah.
Dan.
The American way. This is an American podcast. And like every American podcast, we end with the Pledge of Allegiance.
But there's two
say,
Filipinos.
Can you see?
You don't count.
Oh no, there's 3 Filipinos, including Shane.
Yeah, there's 3
Yeah.
Filipinos here.
Yeah,
Oh
I've
God,
been to Jollibee.
hello.
Honorary Filipino.
I have to be like initiated at Jollibee, but there's no Jollibee here.
Don't take the one that's nearby.
There is.
There is.
Oh, there is.
It's
Isn't
not
it
that
awful?
good.
You still need to eat at it.
Ugh.
Eat one
Yep.
chicken piece from them.
Nope,
The spaghetti
you'll have
may
to
be
invite
better.
me. I'm never going there by myself.
Yeah. Well, we'll drag you along. All right.
Uh,
That's
Ugh.
a show.
That's it. Thank you, Shane, for coming
done,
along,
rats
helping us.
Fellow rats.
Thank you
Sure.
everyone for watching. Rats with Cats.
Rats with
Rats
Gats.
with no gyat. They have
Rats with
gyats.
yachts.
Yeah.
Do you have to spell rat with a Y as well?
Riat.
Riat with
Riat.
yeah.
That's so that's so
Oh my
that's so
God.
GW can copyright it. They're now called Riats, since similar to how we have Elves and Dwarden. We have Riats now.
Riat.
Tolkien is turning in his grave with another mispronunciation of dwarves.
GW, please make Riats. Thank you.